We'll start with Australia. Australia's economy barely grew in the third quarter of this year as exports flagged and households were reluctant to spend. With 2024 just a couple of weeks away, do you think 24 will be a more prosperous year for the Australian economy?
You're absolutely right. So Australia's economy has had a rather tough time in recent years, or at least recent months, rather. So say, for example, just looking at some of the data. Well, retail sales only increased 1.2% year on year, which isn't particularly good when you adjust that for inflation. And it in fact fell 0.2% in the latest reading on month-on-month basis. Real GDP was only up 0.2% quarter on quarter, and it actually fell on a per capita basis. So per capita, real GDP was actually down 0.5% in the latest reading, quarter on quarter that is, and it fell 0.3% year on year. GDP per hour was actually down 2.1% year on year. So we're seeing a whole lot of rather negative data. Furthermore, inflation is stubbornly high. So inflation in the latest monthly reading was 4.9%, which is telling us that Australia is struggling with flagging growth and very, very high inflation. And this means the Reserve Bank of Australia might be forced to keep interest rates higher than would otherwise be ideal. So while we might be seeing rate cuts in the United States, the RBA might need to delay those rate cuts. So going into 2024, there's probably going to be a few things weighing on the market. You've got the inflation, which is still too high. You've got declining productivity, which is exacerbating the inflation. You've got falling real wages, which again are declining or reducing the desire to perhaps go out and work harder, thereby feeding into productivity being rather low. And you've got GDP growth that is really just propped up by immigration. So into 2024, Australia really needs to think about how it might improve its economy, which would involve things such as improved productivity and incentives to improve productivity. That would be one approach. They might also recalibrate how they're engaging with immigration, potentially allowing new immigrants to work in other professions so that you can increase productivity, so that you therefore get more supply of goods, not just more demand for goods. Furthermore, they might encourage more things like more housing construction, which might get some of the housing inflation under control. But going into 2024, Australia's economy looks like it isn't shaping up quite as well as some other economies like the United States.